All right, motherfuckers, in this video, I am going to be showing you, right, exactly how you can launch a best-selling product on Amazon. Now, I'm not going to be leaving any stone unturned, right? I'm going to be breaking into the 7 key ingredients that you need for a bestseller, with the last ingredient, right, being something that if you crack it, that's going to put you in the top 0.0001% of sellers on all of Amazon. Now, I know YouTubers use this trick where they say, stick around to the end of the video to learn this amazing fact. And the reason they do it is because they just want you to watch all of the video. But genuinely, what I'm going to cover at the end of the video, you've probably never seen before from other Amazon gurus. And it's super, super interesting. So stick around and watch it. And the reason, right, that I keep calling these things ingredients is because launching a product on Amazon, it's a lot like baking a cake. You can have all of the right ingredients, but if you don't mix them in the right way or you use the wrong amounts, then you're going to end up with an ugly ass chocolate cake instead of a beautiful red velvet cake. You get the idea. So the first key ingredient to your Amazon FBA best-selling cake or best-selling product is the product itself. Now, all right, this might seem a little bit obvious, yeah, but there's a few things that are incredibly important when it comes to selecting your product. Now, the first is that it needs to be top quality. If you saw something that's cheap just because it's cheap, you might think that makes sense because you're eyeing up a great profit margin. But what's going to happen is you're going to end up being hit with negative reviews and tons of returns. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to bring a product to market that's actually top quality. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that you test it properly. So we've personally lost tens of thousands of dollars, right, over the years with this mistake because we launched products and we didn't test them properly. So please do not make this mistake. Get a great quality product and make sure that you test it. So the next ingredient in our Amazon bestseller is something that, despite it being 2024, I still rarely see other Amazon gurus talking about: your budget. So you need to pick a product, right, that's in a niche that fits your budget. Because in order for you to have the best-selling product in your niche, that means you have to be selling the most units in your niche. So if the top sellers in that specific category are doing, let's say, $100,000 a month in sales, but you've only got $5,000 to invest, then it's going to be pretty difficult, almost definitely impossible, for you to outsell them. So you need to pick a niche, right, that aligns with your specific budget and that allows you to launch and stay in stock so that you can take the top spot and the top selling spot in your category. Because if the top 4 to 6 sellers in the niche, they're averaging 1,000 units in sales a month, and you're aiming to at least equal them, then you need to be able to afford at least 3,000 units or 3 months worth of stock. It's just maths, or math if you're American. So when another guru just tells you to order 300 units, regardless of the size of the niche, then now you know why that's absolutely nonsense. So you need to properly forecast how many units you're likely gonna sell on a monthly basis, and you need to base that on the number of units that the top sellers in the niche are selling themselves. And then you need to make sure that you can afford at least 3 months worth of stock based on those estimations. If you just order a random amount of stock, right, you never know if that's enough to outsell the top sellers or even match the top 4 to 5 sellers in the niche. Because don't forget, right, to actually make money with a product launch, we need to launch the product and keep it in stock. You don't want to get the bestseller badge for 2 days and then stock out for 2 months. Or even worse, just run out of money and not be able to afford to buy any stock at all. So the next thing that you need to absolutely nail with your product launch is one of the biggest mistakes that I still see new sellers making all the time. And this mistake, right, is a little bit like online dating, where when you make a Tinder profile, you don't just make it really boring, you try and stand out and you try and be quirky. Maybe you do what this guy did and make a joke about having a tiny penis. Whatever you do, you need to stand out. So whether we're trying to find the love of our life on Tinder or just sell something on Amazon, we need to be different. So people swiping right on hundreds of Tinder profiles, or is it swiping left? It's not that much different to Amazon customers looking at hundreds of different products in one shopping session. You need to design your product and your listing in a way that absolutely jumps off the page. You need to research all of your competition. You need to understand what they're doing, and then you need to do something different. And this is where most people, they just do not do enough research. You should know your competition inside out. You should know their strengths and you should know their weaknesses. You've got to read through all of the positive and the negative reviews of every top selling product in your niche to get those valuable insights on what it is that you should be improving. This is the #1 thing that you have control over that's going to impact your sales. That's the quality of your listing and the quality of your brand design. And if it's not the best in your niche, then it ain't good enough. Your brand needs to look and sound different. So look at brands like Zesty Paws or Liquid Death or Dude Wipes or Bloom. All of these brands have very distinct visual branding. But underneath that, honestly, most of the products, they're pretty similar to the competition. So Dude Wipes are basically just baby wipes with a cool name. Liquid Death is literally just water in a can that kind of looks like beer, with a weird and quirky name as well. So obviously, right, this is a little bit of an oversimplification of the crazy skills that these companies have with branding and with marketing, but you can still learn a lot from what they've done, and you can try and apply that to your own brands and your own products. The bottom line here, right, is that if you want to be different, don't fall into the trap of just copying what other brands do. Do something different and try and stand out as much as you can. So next up, something that's rarely talked about on Amazon FBA YouTube, but something that's easily one of the most important things that you need to understand when you're trying to launch an Amazon bestseller: pricing. So most beginners have no idea how important pricing is. So I remember when I first started, I thought the key to Amazon FBA was just bundling random products together and adding free gifts to stand out. The issue with doing that is that for every $1 that you add to your product cost or your COGS, you need to increase your actual sales price by $3 to $4. So that $2 accessory that you just want to bundle together with your main product, that actually means you need to charge around an extra $7 for the end sales price. And if you're competing against Chinese sellers who will no doubt already be cheaper than you, then that's going to inflate your price point to the point where it absolutely kills your sales and it kills your conversion rate. So there's a really great podcast episode, right, that I absolutely love, and I send this to everybody. It's by a guy called Danny McMillan. So what Danny does is he looked at a ton of Amazon pricing data and how it impacts organic ranks. Long story short, if you want to rank organically in the top 4 spots on Amazon, you need to be price competitive. If you're priced 40% higher than the competition, you're going to get fewer clicks, fewer sales, and you're not going to rank as high. So you need to understand this, and you need to understand how it impacts everything that you do. When you design your product, if you can reduce the size of it and you can reduce the size of your packaging, then you can look to reduce your FBA fees. When you're customizing your product, you need to be aware of any of the changes that you make to the materials, for example. You need to be aware of how that's going to inflate your price. And when you're managing your supply chain, you need it to be super efficient so that the cost of getting your product from your supplier into Amazon is as cheap as possible. And then when you first negotiate your unit cost from your suppliers, you need to be really patient. You need to use as much leverage and as much negotiation as you can to get the best price possible. Now, none of this is the sexy part of launching a product on Amazon, but it's super, super, super important. However, there is one ingredient to launching a product on Amazon which absolutely does allow you to have a higher price. And it's the secret ingredient that I'm going to be talking about at the end of this very video. Honestly, at this point, if you don't stay to watch it, then I'm going to be very disappointed. Now, this next key ingredient is something that absolutely terrifies most beginners, but it's not that scary. Amazon PPC. So this is basically where you need to use Amazon advertising to drive as many sales as you can. So honestly, this isn't super complex to do, but beginners really overcomplicate it. Now, the key thing that you want to remember and keep it simple with an Amazon PPC launch is that you want to make sure that you focus on the most relevant keywords for your product. So if you're selling gardening gloves, you want to find the top 20 to 30 most relevant keywords for that exact product, and then build all of your PPC campaigns around just those keywords. So you don't want to just stick on an auto campaign or use broad campaigns targeting keywords like gloves, because you're going to be getting a lot of clicks, but it's going to be from very irrelevant keywords that don't convert into sales. Now, the reason that you don't want to do this is because it's going to drag down your overall conversion rate. Basically, when you first launch a product, Amazon's algorithm looks at all of the data and it looks at how customers interact with it. They look at who clicks it, how often they click it, and then how often they actually buy it. So the goal during a launch, right, is to try and rank organically for as many keywords as you can. And if that doesn't make sense to you, all it basically means is that when a customer searches garden gloves, you want your product to appear at the top without having to pay for advertising. This is where you make most of your money. And you can only do this, right, if your conversion rate and your sales are really high for the most relevant keywords for your product. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how the feck do I find all these keywords? Well, there's a few different ways, right? But the easiest way is to use a tool like DataDive. Now, this is going to help you analyze all of the top selling products in your niche. And then it's going to give you the most relevant keywords for your product. And then you can use those keywords in your listing and then when you're building your PPC campaigns. So if you want to check Data Dive out, we've got a discount code in the video description. We do not promote any tools on this channel that we don't use ourselves. And this is a tool that we use all the time. It's amazing. So go and check it out. So from here, what you do is you build all of your PPC campaigns around these keywords. So you're going to find the top 20 to 30 most relevant keywords and just build out all of your campaigns around them. Forget auto campaigns, forget product display campaigns. All you're going to do if you use those types of campaigns is end up with tons of clicks from irrelevant keywords. And this is just going to drag down your conversion rate, and Amazon hates that. All right, so at the start of the video and in the middle, I've been teasing and I promise to reveal an ingredient that will put you in the top 0.00. It's going to put you in the top % of, Amazon sellers. And that ingredient is branded search. All right, what the feck do I mean by branded search? So basically the way that you can dominate any niche on Amazon, it doesn't matter what niche it is if people are already coming to Amazon to search for your brand. Now, remember before when I mentioned brands like Liquid Death and Dude Wipes? These brands absolutely kill it because they are so well known that hundreds of thousands of people every single month come directly to Amazon and they search for those brands. And this is the true definition, in my humble opinion, of a brand. A brand is when you have brand awareness and people are actively looking for your products and your brand. Now, if you go back and watch my recent video called The Man That Solved Amazon FBA, I talk about another brand called Top Shelf Grind. So these brands like Top Shelf Grind and the other ones that I mentioned, they're killing it by promoting their products across social channels like TikTok and like Facebook. So what they do is they hire influencers to create viral style videos that get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. And then all of those people see that product and they see that brand, they go over to Amazon and they type it in the search box. So when you hear people talking about competing with Chinese sellers, this is the #1 way that you can combat that. That makes sense. You get what I mean? This is the #1 way that you can compete against Chinese sellers. And this is what building an actual brand is about. And as a beginner, right, it might feel a little bit daunting, but you should understand how this works. And then you can learn from these brands, you can learn what they're doing and slowly integrate it into what you're doing over time. Because you can work backwards when you're doing your product research from products that have got a high chance of going viral, or you can build your brand design in a way that's going to get attention on social media. You can start to build Facebook communities that are in your niche. You can partner with influencers who get paid to promote your products on social media with short form content. You can run Facebook ad campaigns for new products to collect pre-sale emails and then notify those people when that product is live on Amazon. This is something that we're doing with our brand right now. But the point here, right, is that long term, if you truly want to crush launching new products, a massive unfair advantage is if people are already searching for your brand. All right, now that you know how to launch an Amazon bestseller, go and watch this live masterclass that I did recently where I talk you through step by step how to do Amazon FBA product research. Peace.